Alright, here we are in the last chapter. Now, something that was noted to me was that the volume was a little bit quiet, so the mic is now repositioned, so I'm either going to be louder, I might sound a little different. It's because of just the setup. If I don't like it, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the setup back to where it was, and then I'm just going to increase the volume to the video in the editing process and see what that does. But anyways, this video, we have three parts to exactly what we're doing. We're going to do the fence gates, and walls. So, let's get started with the first one that we are going to be doing. So we are going to be doing let's do Control D, and let's talk about the dark. Let's make the fence, and right here, we're going to call it for the fence. And so moving on, this is going to be a new fence block. And then it's going to say, hey, I got some settings. Tell me what they are. So we can just go into our block and let's take a look, non-project files. And then let's look at the blocks. And then I would suggest looking up the oak fence for an example. And uh, doesn't need to have the underscore. There it is, the fence block. And here we have the abstract settings, and then here is practically it. So let's just copy this entire thing all the way up to abstract. And then from here, we are going to basically do the same thing. So let's let's just delete a big massive line, and then we're just going to right where it says here pressure plate, we're going to Control V. And then we're going to change first, just so that it doesn't look like it's freaking out on us. Let's first add in within the last parenthesis there. So let's do comma, and then let's go for mod item group dot mod blocks, and now let's call this as dark planks, because that is what we are going to be using, is our own planks for this. So with that in mind, the settings is perfectly fine. So let's get into the data generation, the loot table. Control D, and then we're going to do the dark, and then this is the fence. So now that we have that in there, that is practically, we're not going to add in the model. So let's go into the block states. We pull up our Minecraft folder that we've been doing for this for a long while. Assets, Minecraft, block states, and then here we can look up our fence. Oop, not fence. Fence. And then here we have the acacia fence, and then we have the fence gate. So make sure that you're only doing fence, because we're going to be doing fence gate in a moment. So let's call this the dark fence, and then Control F, and then we're just going to look up for Minecraft, Minecraft, C-R-A-F-T. There it goes. And then we're going to change this to HMH3, and then take acacia and change it all into dark. And now we can go into our Minecraft. Let's go in our models, blocks, and then let's look up fence and make sure that it has everything to do with not the gates, the actual fence. And so here we have inventory, post, and side. So this is not as bad as I thought it could have been, considering the model looks quite complex. So let's grab, adjust our fences, and then let's put them in our models. We're going to hit OK. And then let's rename all of them. So replace acacia and call it the dark. And we're going to do refactor rename. This one is also going to be dark. And then this last one, refactor, rename, and then this one is going to be dark again. So if we look at all of the texture files, you'll probably notice that all of them should probably have the same exact texture. It's literally just the type of block that is changing. So let's go to the top one. Let's call this for HMH3, and then call for the dark planks, because that is where it's coming from. We're going to Control C, and then in here we are going to Control V, and in the side do the same thing, Control V, and now it's calling planks for all of them. So let's go in our item model, and then this one is going to call the inventory one. I know that because that's the only reason why someone would make an inventory model. And then we got the acacia fence. So let's go into our item model, and we're going to call this dark uh, dark fence. Hit OK. And then here we have the parent, which is going to equal, make sure you change the mod ID to HMH3, or whatever your mod ID is. And we're going to call it for the dark fence inventory, Just making sure that I did it on those. The Minecraft, yeah, I also changed the correct one. So now that the item and block model are in, we can go into the lang and make sure that we've added the lang file. So we're going to control D, and then we're going to call it for fence. Make sure you put in that comma so it stops freaking out. And then we're going to call in for pressure fence, dark fence. So now that is in there. So now all the lang files are in. So now we just have to worry about the data. So first thing in data that we're going to take a look at is the recipes. We don't have to do we do not have to do the loot tables, but recipes, and then here we're going to look up for the fence. We're going to shove the fence in the recipes. We're going to call it the dark fence. All right, and then we're just going to change HMH3, and then these are going to be the dark planks, and you're going to get HMH3 dark fence from the planks. And then every time you make an advancement, or every time you make a recipe, I would recommend making an advancement. So let's just kind of grab one. Oop, why is it saying lang? Okay, slab, copy into MISC. And then from here, we're going to call this dark fence. And then we have the dark planks, and so we're going to keep that the same, but we're going to make this fence. So if you get planks in your inventory, you will unlock the fence recipe. So now we have our advancement. Loot table is already done through the data gen and recipes. The only thing we need is our tags. We can do this through Minecraft. We're going to go to tags, blocks, mineable, and then go in your axe file. And you will notice that there is wooden fences. So because of that, we're going to have to look up wooden fences. And then we are going to add our HMH3. HMH3, dark fence, and now everything should be good. Let's take a look at the world, but before we do that, remember that we are going to have to open up our data gen before we run the client, and because they are pulling textures from the planks, we do not have to we don't have to make custom textures for them. All right, and then going back into the mod blocks, we have this thing called dark pressure fence. We do not want it to be called pressure fence, but just simply dark fence, because that is what we're calling it, as well as everything else. So simply, because you are changing the name of this file, you are changing the block. And if you're changing the block, that means when you ran the data gen the first time, it made the data gen file for the wrong file. So you're going to have to run the data gen again, and then run your client, and then everything should be working from there. All right, and then because I made a mistake and I reloaded it, you would have missed the part where I did get the recipe. So if we look up fence in here, right-click it, go in there. So we do have the fence, the recipe does exist, and then if I place it and stuff like that, they do connect to your other fences, other wooden fences, because that is what part of the tag does. And then it does break faster with an axe, so it takes a couple seconds even with this axe, but by hand, you can definitely tell it is much slower. So with that in mind, let's move on to the next part, which is going to be the fence gate. All right, and then for the fence gate, we are just going to control D, and we're just going to add the gate word to our fence gate. So let's make sure we actually do that to this time. And then we're going to have the fence, and then it's probably going to be called the fence gate block. So we got that, and it says, hey, there is a special sound events open and close. So let's go in and let's look up our blocks, and then we can simply look up our fence, and then oak, and then fence gate is here. So now we have all this, and we can just copy all the way down to abstract, Control C, and then we can do the same thing what we did here. We're going to go all the way across until we hit the abstract, and then we are going to Control V, paste. Before we, let's get to the second and last one, let's do comma, mod item group dot mod blocks, and then you can change your planks to whatever they are. So for mine, they are dark planks. In the data generation, we'll put it in the loot tables. So we're going to control it D, dark fence gate, and then we can start with all of the special source code files. In our block states, we are going to have the fence gate. So let's add the fence gate to the block states, and then make sure you change acacia to a dark. So we have the dark fence gate. We're going to control F, look up Minecraft. Oop, I did Minecraft again. Minecraft. And then we're going to call this HMH3, and then change the acacia into the dark. And from there, we can go and start doing the models. So from there, our block models, and then block, and then here we are going to do the, well, we can look up fence, and then fence gate is a little bit more. Just one more. There we go. And then in our models, we'll hit OK. And then here we have our 4. So we're going to refactor, rename, and we're going to call all of them dark fence gate. This one is going to be our dark fence gate when it's open. This one is going to be our dark fence gate wall. And then this last one, refactor rename, is going to be the dark fence gate wall open. And then obviously they didn't say closed, they simply are just saying when it is not open, it is closed by just not saying it. So the regular fence gate is referring to the closed block. Let's change the texture in this one to HMH3 and the dark planks that we have, and then just simply copy the textures, and then go to all of the other fence gates that you have, and then simply just paste it all in the other ones, because it's just changing the block type. So don't copy the parent. Moving on to the models. Back it up for a second, item, and then we're going to have the fence gate in the item model, and we're going to call it for dark. Hit OK, and then this Minecraft is going to be HMH3, and this is going to be called for dark. And then let's not forget about the lang file. So let's control D, and then put a little comma in there. But this is going to be called gate, and then this is going to be called gate. So now the lang file is added, so now we just have to, we already made the loot table, so in the data we're just going to do the recipes. So here is the fence gate in the recipe, and we're going to call it for dark, and then we're going to change this Minecraft, and we're going to change it to your mod ID, colon, dark, and then HMH3, your mod planks, or your mod plank type I should say, dark. And I actually kept it in the category in the last one. This will just put it with the other Minecraft stuff. If you want it in there, you can choose to have it in there. If you choose to separate it, you can choose to separate it. I'll keep it in here just because, I guess. Not going to hurt anything. So that was the recipe. Every time you make a recipe, I would suggest making an advancement for it. So we'll hit gate. So every time we pick up dark planks, we will get the fence gate gate recipe. And then we don't have to make a texture, so we can just do the tags and then go in the world. So here we have fences, but it doesn't say, oh, here it is up here, fence gates. So let's go in here and let's look up the fence gates, and then we're going to control D, and then we're going to do HMH3, and then we're going to call for the dark fence gates. So now with that, we can run our data generation, and when it's done, we can run the client and see how we did. All right, here we are, and instantly we got ourselves that new recipe. So we'll go inside of here, and then I can just look up gate, and then if I right click on it, the recipe is there. It seems that I'm gonna need some sticks. So let's make some sticks. We can probably make a couple more. It's not gonna hurt us. There we go. And then if I right click on here, we got ourselves the fence gate. If I place it and then I am in creative. If I break it and With my hand, it takes a decent amount of time, and then it is much faster with the axe. So that is working, so let's put it on here. And then the last thing that we need to check is, does it make the sounds? Yep, sounds are working. So everything should be done with the fence gate. And now the last one that we're going to do is going to be the wall. The wall has absolutely nothing to do with wood, but it is another major block type, so we're going to make it out of our lovely concrete here. So we're going to Control D, and then we are going to actually rename this. So we're going to call this the CEMENT cement wall, and then we're going to call this the CEMENT cement wall, and then this is going to be a wall block. It's going to say, hey, what are the settings? We can simply just double tap or double shift, and then we can just simply look up, let's look up the cobblestone wall. So here you got the wall types, so it's a wall block, and then here it's got settings.copy. Okay, this one is really easy. This one's a really easy. Oh my, I definitely didn't expect it to be that small. Control V, so we have abstract block settings copy, and then from here we are just going to call this CEM cement, and then on the outside one we can do our comma mod item group dot mod blocks, and everything should be good. So that is all of the super hard code all done and dusted. So let's go into the softer stuff. So for the assets, the resources, um, assets, block states, and then here, let's look up wall, and then here we're going to have not the wall signs. Those are things that are coming. So let's go with andesite, block states. And when I say coming, I don't mean I'm doing it. I might later, not in the series, but coming. I called it a dark wall. I called it a dark wall. It is refactor rename. It is going to be a CEM cement wall. So we're going to refactor, Control F. We're going to change all of the Minecraft instances, and we're going to change it into HMH3, and then we're going to change all of the andesite here into cement. So there we go. Let us go into the next one, which is the block models. So we're going to back it up. Sets, Minecraft, models, block. And then here we can look up the andesite wall. I don't know how far it is, but here is our 4 wall things. So we're going to put it in our block. We're going to hit OK. And then we are going to refactor and rename, and all these andesites are going to turn into cement. Wall inventory, refactor rename. This is going to be the cement wall post. This one is going to be refactor rename, CEMENT wall side, and then this one is going to be refactor rename, CEMENT wall side tall. All right. And so now that we have all of those, I'm pretty sure if I look through all of them, they will probably be just like how it is. So HMH3 block dot CEMENT, and then we're just going to copy the Control C, Control for the textures, and we're just going to copy the textures just as we've been doing everything else. So now all of those are in, and because there was an inventory that right here, that tells me that the item model is going to pull for the inventory as well. So andesite wall, and then we're going to go in our item models, and we're going to change this into cement wall. We're going to call this for HMH3, and then we're going to call this for cement wall inventory. That is perfectly fine. So now we've added the block, so let's add it to our lang file. Hit a little comma, and then this whole thing is going to be rewritten, so we're going to call this cement wall, and then down here we're just going to keep backing that out, CEMENT wall. That is perfectly fine. And then outside of the Lang models, it is pointing to the cement textures, so we don't have to get the textures, and we have, did I say the data gen? I'm going to double check that I did. I did not, so let's go in the data gen for the loot tables and put in the cement wall. If you caught that faster than I did, congratulations. But we are not going to be making a loot table because we just added it to our wall there. So let's go in our Minecraft data and let's pull for the recipe. So let's look up wall, and then we got andesite. Oh, and it looks like there's actually two. There's one from stone cutting and one not from stone cutting. So let's actually add them both. Recipes, sit OK, and then we're going to come out here, andesite wall, so we're going to refactor, rename. We're going to turn this one into cement, and then the other one, refactor, rename, and we're going to call this uh, cement wall from, and we can call it cement stone cutting. I'm not going to call it that. Usually when I use a stone cutter, I literally just do what it is, and then I just write SC at the very end for stone cutting. Or sometimes what I like to do, if I want to show all of them, I'll put the SC at the front for stone cutter, and so it would be stone cutting, cement wall. I'm going to put it in the front, because, and then yeah, I could use like F for freezer, and some of the basic ones like that. But that is all there, and then so now let's go in change the actual recipes. So it's not going to be Minecraft andesite. It's going to be for HMH3, and then we're going to call for cement, and then we're going to do the same thing down here, HMH3, and then cement, and then let's go down to that little SC that we've made, and it's going to be the same thing. So HMH3, cement, E, cement. And then if I just kind of copy this because I'm just being cheeky about it now, we're going to have the HMH3 cement wall as the result. Now, the stonecutter does not have a recipe board, so if you don't add the recipe into here, it should be perfectly fine, because if you just stick the item into the stonecutter, there is no recipe book, so it's not going to notice it anyways. So in the advancements, we're only going to, it doesn't matter which one, actually, let's, yeah, no, let's, it doesn't matter. So let's just copy one of them. We're going to call this the cement wall. No matter what, I'm going to have to change all of them. So we're going to say HMH3 cement. Then I will get the Control C. I will get the cement wall recipe. So we're to Control C. And then we're going to Control V. So that is our cement wall. So now we should have the loot tables. We added that, recipes, advancements, and then the tags. Now normally we've been going into axe for everything. This one is going to be in pickaxe, and then if I simply Control F and we're going to look up wall, uh, well, it turns out there is all these walls, and then there is an actual Minecraft walls file. So let's look up walls, and then on here we can simply Control D, and then let's add our HMH3, and then we'll call it for the cement wall. Everything should be in. We don't have to make a texture, like I said, but we did add a loot table, so be sure that when you open up your Gradle, make sure you run the data gen before you run the client, and then we'll see let's take a look at how we did. I was going to say, uh-oh, I didn't get the recipe, but that's because there's no cement in my inventory. I had the planks in my inventory, which is why I'd always get at the very beginning of the video. So let's be a little cheeky. Let's get this, and instantly you can see new recipe unlocked. I don't like how that's a block. Did let's look at the geez, that I didn't call. Okay, see how it says 6 for 6. Um, well, technically, I guess that would make sense, but that's not what we're looking for. Let's go take a look, take a closer look at our recipes, and we're gonna. Oh, that's the Minecraft recipes. Let's take a look at our recipes, and we have our cement wall, and down at the bottom here, we need to call it for wall. So now, let's reopen this. We don't have to rerun the data gen. It is a we're basically doing what the data gen would if we had the data gen for this. Alright, and reopening that world, let's actually give ourselves a lot more cement because otherwise I am not going to be able to craft it. We can see that our cement wall is now functionally working in here, and then if I look up the wall, here we go, we got ourselves the walls, and then in here, something that's unique about the wall is that they glow, and here they still keep their glow because in the class file it's saying it's copying the settings of the cement block. So if the cement block glows, these are going to glow too. So that is that. And here it's got their little extensions. Oh man, it's got the whole 9 yards. Let's grab ourselves a pickaxe, and then let's see if that there is a difference. So let's go in creative, and that breaks it all here. Oh, well, technically, cement could be broken by hand either way. It doesn't seem that the cement wall drops anything, and I don't know if that is because I I told it not to? Question mark. No, what I did is I said it needs to have requires tool. So because I'm breaking with my hand, it's not having a tool. So when I break with my hand, although I have it breaking instantly because it doesn't have a hardness or anything like that, it's breaking instantly, but it's not doing anything like that. If you want to add a hardness, you can simply just do dot add like a hardness, and then you can give it a float hardness. So if I said like 1.0f, that would be perfectly fine. And then here we could do like material dot, and then there like stone, and then so it'll be probably a little bit harder than stone, but that's probably a lot more reasonable than what it is at. But anyways, for now, that is going to be it for this video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and without further ado,